I often get asked by my students, what lens is the best for portraits? Now, I don't believe that there's any unique portrait lens, any one lens is best for anything, because it all depends on your artistic interpretation or what you want to create with your photography. But there are a few guidelines that I can go through. I'm going to go through them in this video today. You know the approximate focal lengths that I would use when I'm shooting portraits, either headshots or full-length shots. So watch this. I'm going to use various different focal lengths. You'll see the differences that it makes, and you'll learn about what lens is going to work best for what portraits. Okay, now I'm going to get in close for some of these, okay, so don't get scared. Now we're going to start off with a headshot. A headshot to me means a head and shoulder shot, so just down to the bottom of the ribs, pretty much. If I use a wide angle lens, if I use anything that's too close, I need to get in close to fill up my frame, and that tends to distort our model. The closer you get with a wide angle lens, the more distortion you're going to get. The further back you get with your lens, the less distortion you're going to get. So have a look at these shots and you'll see the difference. This is a little bit scary for Shay, but I've warned her, so she should be fine. I'm going to start off with 24mm on my zoom and do a head and shoulder shot of Shay. We're going to shoot 24mm. Okay, so excuse me, Shay, I don't usually get this close.
Oh, it's very close.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to focus, just looking at the lens. Yeah. Okay. That was scary for Shay. It was scary for me too. So now I'm going to move back a little bit. I generally shoot headshots from further than 2 meters away from my subject for a couple of reasons. The first one, that I'm outside their comfort zone. That was a bit scary and uncomfortable for Shay because I was in close to her. So moving back, keeping out of your subject's comfort zone makes it easier for her, makes it more relaxing for her, and she tends to trust you a little bit more. So I'm going to shoot it from about 2 meters away. My focal length is probably going to be about 75 mils. Okay, you over that? Okay.
You didn't realize that.
I actually didn't realise myself. Okay, head tilt just a little bit. Yeah, lovely. Okay, that's it. One more. Terrific. Okay, that's a much more appropriate focal length. I'm actually at about 100 mil. So that's generally what I would use for my headshots. If I get back further, it's not going to make a whole heap of difference, but a lot of photographers like to shoot with 70 to 200 mil lenses, so they'll move further back to get that perspective. The further back we get, the flatter Shay's features on her face appear. So that's why telephoto lenses tend to be a bit more flattering than wide angle ones. Wide angle ones tend to accentuate the size of things that are close to the camera, which means noses generally. So telephoto lenses are fine. I just don't want to get so far back that I'm out of touch with Shay. Now I'm going to do a full length shot of Shay. If I'm in too close to her, then I need to use that wide angle lens. And she tends to be distorted a little bit because the back of my camera has to be tilted upwards. I'll do a couple of those, you'll see the difference. Now, you'll see me in my videos do this quite often, but I do it for effect. I do it in locations that suit this sort of style, and I do it for impact. So all of these things are just guidelines. They're not rules, so do what you need to do to get the result that you want. But generally in the studio, because we've got a limited background, it's not a good idea to do this sort of thing. Here we go, Shay. Yep, maybe just looking over here at the light. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Wonderful. Getting a bit closer. Okay, that's it. Shay's got a good smile on her face because she's feeling really uncomfortable. Okay, that's great. Now, I'm going to move back. Probably 3 meters, 3.5 meters away from Shay, which means that the back of my camera is going to be fairly parallel to her. The perspective's going to look better because I'm shooting with the telephoto, so there's less distortion in the shot. Okay, here we go, Shay. Focusing, lovely. Yep, eyes to me, yeah. That's great. Now I'm going to move back once again, about 5 meters, 5.5 meters from Shay. Okay, lovely, here we go. Yep, eyes to me. Terrific. Now, because I'm using a zoom lens, my focal length is still only about 100 mils when I'm here. I love this 24 to 120 lens because it allows me to do so many different things very quickly without having to change lenses. We've got Shay sitting down on a stool now, but any sort of chair would do the same thing here. I'm going to use a focal length that's going to allow me to get her full body in the shot, and I'm not going to get too close. I'll get too close to start with, and you'll see the difference, but then I'm going to get further back to a normal position where I would generally shoot maybe 4 meters away from her. And that means my focal length is going to be around about 80 to 100 millimeters. Okay, so I'm going to get in close and do a seated shot of you. Okay, lovely. Just one foot out in front of the other a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Okay, eyes to me. Yeah, tilt. Yeah, that's it. Try not to look scared. That's it. Beautiful. Okay, you can see the result of that. Shay's head looks a little bit bigger. Don't tell her. Shay's head looks a little bit bigger than her feet do, and it looks a little bit distorted. Again, you could do it for effect, but most of the time I don't want really special effect shots of my clients. I want to make them look as good as possible. So we're going to move back here and do another one. Okay, that's lovely, Shay. Turn your face that way. Yep. Okay, just zooming in. Yeah. Terrific. Maybe put your hand on the back of the stool there. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, good. Turn your face a little bit more and eyes to me. Yeah. Okay, up on the toe on your back foot. Yep. Okay. So you can see the difference that makes. It makes a huge difference to the results that you get. So basically, get further back, zoom in, and your portraits are going to look so much better. Now I've switched to my nifty 50. My prime lens, my 50mm lens, it's on a full frame body, which means that it's not particularly great for headshots because of the perspective. On a full frame camera, my 50mm becomes a little bit wide angle, so it tends to distort our model's face a little bit. I'll show you after this the same lens on my crop sensor body. It's a much more useful focal length on a crop sensor body than on a full frame body. So you'll see the difference. Okay, so just doing a headshot here, Shay. Just turn the face around again. Yep. All right. To get Shay's framing the way I want, I need to get in relatively close. That's it, eyes to me. Yeah. Just tilt that head a little bit. Yeah, great. Okay. So you can see that, it looks quite good, but my crop sensor camera is going to do a better job. So I'll just change those over. Now I've got my 50mm on my crop sensor and see the results that we get from that. I'll be able to stand a little bit further back from Shay because of this crop sensor, and that's going to give me a better perspective on my shot. Okay, here we go, Shay. That's it. Lovely, here we go. Yeah, terrific. That's it. Good. Okay, wonderful. That's it. Good. Turn your face to the light a little bit more, yeah? Great. Okay. So you can see that, comparing them side by side, just the difference in the sensor size on your camera can change the effective perspective on that 50mm lens. As you know, I use a zoom lens for most of my shots, but that doesn't take away the fact that I need to be careful of my focal length that I'm using. When I zoom in close with my zoom lens, it means I'm using a longer focal length, which means that the perspective in my shot is much more flattering. So I don't tend to get in close for headshots with the wide angle end of my zoom because you saw the results. So if in doubt, get further back and zoom in closer. If you've got a prime lens, try to go for 100mm or more to shoot full length shots and headshots if you can.